The Nintendo Switch 2 arrived with a difficult mission: follow one of the most successful game consoles ever made without losing what made it special. Released in most regions on June 5, 2025, it did not try to reinvent Nintendo's hybrid idea from scratch. Instead, it doubled down on it. Like the original Switch, the Switch 2 can work as a handheld console, sit on a table for shared play, or connect to a television through a dock. That familiar flexibility is the core of the system. The major difference is that Nintendo rebuilt the experience around stronger hardware, a bigger screen, updated controllers, sharper visuals, and more connected social features. The most important thing to understand about the Switch 2 is that it is not just a faster box for playing games on a TV. Its identity is still hybrid gaming. In handheld mode, the console itself contains the screen, controls, storage, and processing hardware. In tabletop mode, it can stand independently while players use detached controllers. In docked mode, it sends the experience to an external display. This matters because Nintendo is not competing only on raw technical power. It is competing on convenience. The same game can move from a couch to a commute to a shared room without changing devices, and that idea remains the Switch 2's foundation. One of the clearest upgrades is the display. The Switch 2 uses a larger LCD screen than the original Switch, and it supports 1080p resolution in handheld and tabletop modes. That means full HD output directly on the device, making text sharper, menus cleaner, and games more detailed when played away from a television. Just as important is the 120Hz refresh rate support in handheld or tabletop play. A higher refresh rate can make motion look smoother and controls feel more responsive, especially in fast racing, action, and competitive games. For a portable console, that combination of a bigger screen, higher resolution, and faster refresh potential is a major usability upgrade. Docked Play also received a major visual boost. When connected to a compatible external display, the Switch 2 supports up to 4K resolution at 60 Hz. That does not mean every game will automatically look like a high-end gaming PC release, because performance still depends on the software and how developers use the hardware. But it gives Nintendo's developers and third-party studios far more room to create sharper images on modern televisions. The system also supports HDR on both the tablet screen and compatible external displays. HDR can improve brightness range and color depth, helping bright highlights, dark shadows, and vivid scenes appear more natural and dramatic. The Joy-Con 2 controllers are another major part of the redesign. They can be used magnetically attached to the console or detached for separate play, keeping the flexible control style that defined the original Switch. The magnetic attachment is important because it changes the physical feeling of connecting controllers to the system. A more secure and refined connection can make the device feel less like a collection of parts and more like a unified handheld. Detached controllers continue to support local multiplayer in a simple way: one console, two small controllers, and a game that can be shared almost instantly. That easy social setup remains one of Nintendo's strongest advantages. Inside the system, Nintendo also increased internal storage and updated the graphics capabilities. More storage matters because modern games, patches, and downloadable content are much larger than they were in previous console generations. Players increasingly expect to keep multiple digital games installed at once, rather than constantly deleting and re-downloading software. Updated graphics matter not only for resolution, but for richer environments, more stable performance, and better effects. The Switch 2 also allows select original Switch games to benefit from its improved performance through free or paid updates. That creates a bridge between old libraries and new hardware, although the exact benefit depends on each individual game. Games for the Switch 2 are distributed in two main ways: physical game cards and Nintendo's digital eShop. Physical media remains important for collectors, families, gift buyers, and players who prefer a tangible library. But the system also introduced a notable complication: some game key cards contain no actual game content. Instead, they work like physical keys that require players to download the game through an internet connection. This approach blends retail packaging with digital delivery, but it also changes what ownership feels like. A cartridge that does not contain the game itself is less useful without servers, storage space, and reliable internet access. The Switch 2 continues Nintendo Switch Online, the subscription service required for some multiplayer games. The service also provides access to Nintendo Classics, a library of older emulated games. For the Switch 2 specifically, GameCube games are exclusive to the newer console. That detail is meaningful because GameCube nostalgia is especially strong among many longtime Nintendo fans. Titles from that era can be difficult or expensive to access legally on original hardware. By placing GameCube games within the Switch 2's online ecosystem, Nintendo adds value to the subscription while also giving the new console a retro feature that the original Switch does not share in the same way. Nintendo also expanded the console's social features with Game Chat. This feature allows players to chat remotely and share screens and webcams. That is a significant shift for Nintendo, a company historically more cautious than competitors when it comes to voice chat and online interaction. Game Chat makes the Switch 2 feel more aligned with modern multiplayer habits, where playing together often includes talking, watching each other's screens, and reacting in real time. It also supports the broader idea that the console is not just a device for launching games, but a shared space. For families and friend groups, that can make remote play feel closer to being in the same room. Nintendo's rollout was carefully staged. The company revealed the Switch 2 on January 16, 2025, giving players their first official look after years of speculation. Then, on April 2, Nintendo announced the full specifications and release details. Pre-orders in most regions began on April 5, building momentum 2 months before launch. This timeline mattered because expectations were enormous. The original Switch had a massive install base, and fans wanted to know whether their libraries, habits, and favorite franchises would carry forward. By spreading the reveal, details, and pre-orders across several dates, Nintendo turned the launch into a months-long event rather than a single announcement. Critical and public reaction focused on two competing narratives. On one side, the Switch 2 was praised for its technical and social improvements. A sharper handheld display, 4K docked support, HDR, stronger performance, improved controllers, and more robust online communication all made the console feel like a meaningful evolution. On the other side, increased prices for both the console and its game library drew criticism. That tension is central to the Switch 2 story. Players could see the upgrades, but they also had to decide whether the cost of entering the new ecosystem felt justified. In modern gaming, hardware value is judged not just by specs, but by the total cost of ownership. Despite the pricing criticism, the Switch 2 launched with extraordinary commercial momentum. More than 3.5 million units sold worldwide within 4 days, making it the fastest-selling Nintendo console. By June 2026, it had sold over 23 million units worldwide. Its biggest game was Mario Kart World, available as a bundled launch inclusion, with over 15 million copies sold. That success shows how powerful Nintendo's strategy can be when hardware, software, and brand loyalty align. The Switch 2 did not abandon the original formula. It modernized it. The result was a console that felt familiar enough to be instantly understandable, but upgraded enough to become Nintendo's next major platform. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.